Hey guys, welcome back to the Max Spence Business Podcast. Today's guest is Erica Rankin. So she is the founder of Brodo, a Canadian company making a better for you cookie dough that is 100% vegan. You might also have seen some of her content on TikTok, as she has over 200,000 followers and also 30K on LinkedIn. So before we get into today's podcast, if you can please smash the like button, that helps a ton with the algorithm and also the people that are coming on the show. But without further ado, today's guest, Erica, it's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, Max.
Awesome. So why don't we, just jump right into this with, for people that maybe haven't come across any of your content, where did you grow up? What school did you go to? And what was your first passion?
So I grew up in a super small town just outside of Niagara Falls in Ontario. Um, and yeah, after high school, went right into post-secondary and I got my bachelor's of psychology from Laurier, and I lived in Waterloo for 4 years. And yeah, I was kind of going down the route of the traditional path. I wanted to get my master's and then my PhD, but kind of all before that, I've had like multiple passions, but nothing entrepreneurship related. Kind of just, um, gosh, I wanted to be a police officer at one point. I wanted to be a horse vet because I had horses growing up. And then I wanted to be a therapist and pursue psychology, which is what I did. And then I kind of stumbled into entrepreneurship in 2019 when I went backpacking through Southeast Asia.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So, with your degree in psychology, I thought that was pretty interesting. So do you actually find that, that actually helps you sort of day to day in business, or, like how's that degree sort of affected, your life?
So I'm actually pretty glad that I took it. If I were to take any degree again, I would take psychology just because it's so relevant and you can also just build on it and do anything. Like if you wanted to pursue interior design, you could do psychology. Any field you want to go into, you can use psychology, right? Because human behavior, like super relevant. And it
Yeah.
definitely helps with sales. I think it is an asset for sure with business. And I do use it. But I mean, if I could go back in time and do something different, I don't think I would have pursued post-secondary education, just because I feel like there is so much free content available now, especially like with the internet and stuff. Like you can pretty much learn anything on the fly, and that's kind of how I built my business. I kind of got my own degree teaching myself, and I feel like I learned more these past 2 years through business and trial and error than I did in my whole entire 4-year undergrad.
Yeah. It's actually crazy, with how much free stuff is out there if you just look, with YouTube and just Googling stuff. And it's like it's pretty interesting because like once you learn the skill of like self-teaching and being able to teach yourself stuff, and you realize you're like, oh, holy crap, I can actually learn anything, right? Like I can learn how to start a business. I can learn how to edit a video, and build a website. Like there's tons of stuff you can just learn, and it's all free out there. And once you learn that skill, I think it really opens up like a gateway of like how much stuff you can actually do. And I think it's really, really freeing because like you're not like held by constraints of, oh, I have to go to university, or I have to, spend, an internship at this job to learn this type of stuff, where it's like, hey, I can just hop onto Google or YouTube or listen to, podcasts or whatever, and just hear some great advice. So now I want to transition to, you're backpacking through, I believe you did, was it Asia or was it through Europe?
Southeast Asia.
Oh, okay. Awesome. And how did you run into like entrepreneurship, like through that journey, and what made you actually want to start your own business?
So I guess like rewinding a little bit prior to my trip, I was working at a university, like the traditional 9 to 5 job, in my cubicle, and I did not like it. I liked it for the first few months, and then it wasn't the best environment, and I felt like I had this like passion that just wasn't. It was kind of like this fire was extinguished, and I just wanted to do all these things. And I remember listening to like I listened to Andy Frisella's podcast, MFCEO and Real AF, and he just talks about entrepreneurship and making the transition into that. And like he's a motivational speaker. And I just remember listening to this podcast day after day, and just this cycle was repeating. I would go into work, come home, and then do it again and again. And then my contract came to an end for that job, and I decided to leave it. So I quit. And I was living with my parents at the time, and I felt like a huge loser. And I was looking around watching my friends like start families and have like salary jobs and build careers. And I kind of wasn't sure what I wanted to pursue at the time. And I also was working at a bakery and doing personal training as well. So I kind of just let everything go. I took my savings and I booked a trip to Thailand. And a 1 month trip turned into a 3.5 month trip because I just fell in love with it. And I stayed there for Christmas. I stayed there for my birthday. I just was going through all these countries pretty much on my own, meeting entrepreneurs, like a lot of entrepreneurs from all over the world. I would say maybe like 70% of the people I met were entrepreneurs. And I don't know, it just kind of like opened my eyes to that lifestyle because I've never like really talked about it with anyone. And growing up in a small town, like everyone kind of pursues the same path. Like after high school, they go and they get their degree, and then they maybe get their master's, and then maybe they settle down and get a career and start a family. And I just didn't feel like I fit in that box. So that's why I kind of booked this trip. And then having conversations with entrepreneurs was just really cool because they were so passionate about what they were doing. I'd never spoken to anyone before and have them like light up and like love talking about work. So it kind of gave me some perspective, and also too, just like learning about their backgrounds. And you don't necessarily need a business degree to be good at business. You just have to have a willingness to learn, right? Like, I got home from that trip and I sat down with myself and I had like a pros and cons list of starting my own business. So do I want to start my own business or do I want to work for someone else? And I remember like sitting on my mom's carpet in her living room with a note open on my phone, just like brainstorming all these different ideas. And food, like better for you food, is just something that I've been super passionate about. And I competed in bodybuilding in 2018, and always recreated my favorite treats. And it kind of tied back into that. And I never realized that you could like monetize a passion, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's, I guess, in a nutshell.
No, that like I absolutely love that. And it's like those first experiences, right? And I mean, if you're meeting a lot of entrepreneurs, that like that sort of opens your mind, right, to the side, like that other lifestyle, because it's like through high school and university, you don't really have that much contact with, you know, entrepreneurs or people that run their own business, right? Unless your parents run their own business, or, you know, you have maybe your parents' friends that have their own business and you talk to them every now and then and you hear a little bit about it. But yeah, like I mean, like that must have been an amazing experience. So you came back and you started, you know, Better For You Food. And why did you sort of pick cookie dough, and how did you come up with the name of bro dough?
So cookie dough has always been a very like nostalgic treat for me. I remember growing up, like my neighbor's mom was a baker, and I remember going over there and eating so much cookie dough, I would literally get sick. Or like fondant, we would have like a bucket of icing and just be like eating like pure sugar. And then same with like in high school, like across the street, there was a grocery store, and my friends and I would go and buy like, you know, the Pillsbury cookie dough and just eat it like in freaking 35-degree weather in the sun. And I remember going back to class and having a sugar crash and a tummy ache. And I guess like I kind of looked around at the market and saw where there was a hole, and there really is no improved version of edible cookie dough. And it's a growing category. And I think more and more like millennials and Gen Zs are, I don't know, they're eating it and they really like it. My parents, they don't really understand it. They would rather eat cookies. So it's like a generational thing, I think. So I saw the hole in the market. I wanted to fill it. I wanted to create a better version of a guilty treat that was lower in sugar and had like a functional property, which is added protein. And then I guess with the name, because I had a background in like bodybuilding, I was kind of in that industry, in that world. It's a play on the term like bro, like do you even lift, bro? And then that kind of ties into the protein part of it, because a lot of my customers are people who exercise and they care about that added protein element.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like when I was doing a little bit of research and I was just looking at you know, competitors of like people that were making cookie dough and all this type of stuff, I didn't really come across anybody that makes you know, cookie dough that's tailored to the fitness industry, right? Like, and with your brand, like your brand name, like I actually saw another podcast you were on, and the guy in that was talking about like how great your brand name is. And I really think it is like one of the, like, it's such a good brand name and it's so simple. Like I was looking at different companies, their branding on their containers, right? And I found it was really hard to like understand the brand of it because there was so much stuff going on. And then I had to look at yours, and yours is just really simple. It's just Brodo and that's it. And with your colors, right? And I was like, yeah, like that looks so much better. And it's like straight to the point. You understand what it is. You're like, okay, Brodo, like this seems interesting, right? And you're like, oh, it has protein in it. Like that's great, right? So I mean, like, yeah, with your marketing, like you sort of hit the nail on the head with that, like with the name and your marketing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's absolutely incredible. So now to sort of transition, so you have the name now, you have the idea, you're like, okay, I'm going to go into the cookie dough industry. What was your next steps? Did you just like hop into the kitchen and start, just trying out different recipes? Did you start doing a ton of research? What was that sort of beginning process like?
Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. I went on Google and I typed in business workshop near me. And the first link that popped up, I clicked it and I drove like, I think 45 minutes to go to this business workshop. I think I went to 3 different ones. And they were completely free. It was through a resource center. And there was one on cash flow, one on marketing, one on like they gave you a business plan template. So I guess I just wanted to get all of that and the foundation laid out because I'm a very creative person. I love baking. I love marketing and branding, but I'm not really super businessy and I didn't really understand that aspect of the business. So I wanted to make sure that I really understood it before I fully committed to this and started investing money into it. So that's what I did. And then the next step was for me to just like experiment with different ingredients and taste tests and had family and friends try it. And then I actually decided to move to a new city, to Ottawa and launch the business there because I found a commercial kitchen where you just pay by the hour. It was super affordable. And then I found a girl on Kijiji and I moved in with her and I kind of started the business that way and didn't have cold storage. So I stored the product in the trunk of my Jeep all winter and picked and packed in my driver's seat and kind of operated that way and then the business started to grow and I kind of changed things and then did invest in like cold storage and stuff. But yeah, it was kind of just like one day at a time. That's kind of the way that I took it.
Yeah, no, 100 like that. That's like, I absolutely love that. The resourcefulness of using your car to store the product, right? Because you have no other choice. I'm actually interested. So, were you renting a kitchen to make this, or were you making it in your apartment, like the actual like cookie dough?
So in Canada, you can't legally like make and sell product out of your home. It has to
Oh,
be in like a regularly inspected commercial kitchen. So I had to get and again, this is all stuff that I was learning as well. Like I didn't know that you couldn't do that.
mhm.
I had to get like my food handler certification. I had to get insurance to work in the kitchen.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and then I would just go in and like book my time in the kitchen and make product there. I stored all my ingredients there. And then I would literally put all the cookie dough in my trunk and then drive it home. And I had a freezer in my living room and I would just have my wagon with all my cookie dough and bring it into my living room and then put it all in my freezer. And then that was kind of like my workstation was my living room. Yeah.
So I'm just thinking about that. So how did your roommate find that with like all this crazy stuff?
Yeah, so I lived with her for 6 months and I didn't have the freezer at the time. I was storing it in my car. But I was getting like I remember getting giant shipments of like I would get pallets delivered to an apartment building and they would just drop it off and I would have to disassemble these pallets like in the lobby and bring them up in the elevator like one by one and then put them in like our living room and it would just be like boxes stacked like bubble wrap and paper and boxes and she was super supportive and she's like, "Oh, you got more boxes." And I'm like, yeah. And yeah, she was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool, whatever." Like she was cool with it. And then eventually I did move them out just because yeah, it wasn't the biggest apartment and there were 2 of us. And then yeah, after that, then I moved out and I lived on my own. And then I got a commercial space, which is a huge mistake because I didn't need it. I kind of fell into the trap of, oh, like I'm a business owner. I need like an actual place to have all my stuff. Like I can't have it in my home. They have to be separate. And I was just burning through so much cash with the overhead. So I got rid of that and then I moved everything into my living room. And yeah, Brodo kind of like took over my home. But
No, like that, I absolutely love that. Like that's actually pretty hardcore with like doing all that stuff with in an apartment complex and stuff. But like the one thing I actually like about that is, like you said, which I think is a really, really good piece of advice that I want to emphasize is at the beginning, you sort of don't need all that type of fancy stuff, right? Like, and it can actually slow you down or actually, actually crush your business because you just like can't keep up with the overhead, right? Which is something I learned when I jumped into real estate. I went really high expenses and then couldn't maintain that, right? Like, I went like, okay, well, this is my first step into, being like a little bit of an entrepreneur and all this type of stuff of trying to run your own little business, right? And I was like, I went high expenses with like a website and all this type of stuff and like marketing. And I was like, oh, actually, the stupid thing, I actually did like print marketing, which was like, knowing now, I was like, I would never do that. Like you can just hop on LinkedIn or TikTok and that's free. And you can get like 10x the growth you'd get from print marketing. Not to say that print marketing is not useful, but I mean, when you're just starting out, it's like, using all the free resources you have is better than, spending tons of money. But to sort of move on from that, so this is something that I thought was pretty interesting. So when did you know that your product was like good to go? Like when you were done with sort of the tinkering phase of, getting the formula right? Because I know with some people, and I'm a little bit like that, sometimes I'll like re-edit, go over it again and again and again. And you never just get to the finished product because you're just always changing it. And sometimes that can be worse, right? Because you just, you can sort of get it and then you just make it worse by overdoing it, right? So how did you actually come to the, moment that you're like, okay, like this is a finished product and I'm going to sell this?
Yeah, I did, not gonna lie, I sat on it for a while. Like I think in so I got back from my trip in February and then I started like working on it for a few months and I didn't actually launch until December because I had everything ready. And I remember sitting, like I made my Shopify, I did all of that. And then I was super hesitant to like hit publish on my Shopify site because I was so scared. It was kind of like, okay, the world knows that I'm doing this. Am I really ready? Like, it doesn't look as good as I want it to. And kind of like touching on what you mentioned before is like what you start with isn't going to be what you end with. Like, don't invest a ton of money up front because you don't know if it's going to work, right? So I think I just learned that done is better than perfect, and like your business is going to evolve. And I needed feedback, so I was like, okay, I'm going to launch this product. If people don't like it, then I can just collect feedback on it, and then I can adjust it, and go back to the drawing board and figure it out. So I launched it, and then I think like the first month I had like 18 orders or something, and half of them were like my friends and family. So it really didn't feel like a true customer to me. But yeah, when I had that first order come through, it was really exciting. And yeah, like as the year went on and as my business started to grow, I just kind of kept gathering feedback and adjusting things and tweaking things. And yeah, that's kind of how I went about it.
Yeah. No, like, I absolutely love that. And like, what something again that you mentioned that I think is a huge piece of advice is like, the testing and the trial aspect of it. It's like, done is better than perfect sometimes. And I think in the most times it actually is, because hearing that feedback from customers and hearing what the market wants and what the market likes and dislikes is so crucial, right? Like, I mean, if you just spent like a year making a product and then you throw it out into the market and the market's like, actually, we don't like this. And you'll be like, oh crap. Like, within the first 3 months, I could have, put out that product and got a bunch of feedback. And then by the end of the year, I could have an actual finished product that, the customer base actually loves. So, now with a little bit more going on in the story, what was your first batch? Like, how big was your first batch did you make, and how did you actually plan on selling that, or how did you sort of, and that's not just your first batch, like I sort of want to broaden that to like, the first like, couple months of sales and stuff. Like, how did you actually sell it? Because that's something that I think people would be interested in. It's like, okay, I've got this product, like how do I sell this? Like, do I go door to door? Do I like, message a bunch of people and be like, hey, like, I got this product, can you help me out? Or like what was your sort of process that I think people would be interested to hear?
A lot of discouragement. Like I was very discouraged. I guess so when I launched my website and stuff, I didn't know anything. I didn't know what SEO was. And I remember telling my parents that I had my website and I'm like, oh, just Google Brodo. And like they Googled it and it wasn't on the first page, wasn't on the second page, wasn't on the third page. They're like, are you sure? I can't find it. Because I didn't know what SEO was. I didn't know about any of that. So people couldn't find me. So like many entrepreneurs, I really struggled with the marketing component of it and getting the word out and making people aware of my brand. So I really tried to go the retail route, and luckily, like I have a friend who has a supplement store, and she sold my product there. And then I was in a couple other stores, so that was really good, and that really helped with like volume orders. But in terms of like my Shopify and like trying to spread awareness there, like I did a giveaway on my Instagram, and that really helped. I collaborated with other brands. I just kept showing up on social media and really putting in the effort there and trying to generate brand awareness there. But yeah, it can definitely be discouraging if you have this product or service and you put in all this work and it's just sitting there and it's not moving. So you have to basically create a strategy and create that brand awareness. And for a lot of people, they don't have a ton of money to invest into marketing like me. Like I think I spent $1,500 in the past 2 years on marketing, which is not a lot. So I was really scrappy and I found ways. Like I would post in Facebook groups because my product's vegan. I would go to vegan Facebook groups and like advertise in there. And I built like a really, really good relationship with my customers, and I would message them directly and really build out those relationships and tried to focus on the word of mouth as well. Like I think that's one thing that's very overlooked at the beginning. Like you don't realize, like even with you, like the way that you found my product was through word of mouth basically, right? Like
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
think it's really powerful. It's really powerful.
Yeah, no, like I agree with you again on that, and it's like, I've actually tried for the people that are listening, I've actually tried Erica's product, and it's actually like really, really good. Like I would highly recommend trying it out. And it's really interesting that like, this was probably like maybe early 2020, and you can try a product, and I'm like, this is a really good product, but the marketing, like if you don't have that marketing, you just don't have the awareness, right? Like people can sort of take that as like, if you're a business owner, you have this product and you try and get it out to the market, and there's just not enough people that are buying it. You're like, oh, maybe the market doesn't want it. It's like, no, maybe just haven't, like there's not enough people that have tried actually the product, right? Because you could have a really good product, but you just haven't made enough awareness. There just hasn't been enough people that have tried it, right? So I really like that how you mentioned was like word of mouth is so huge with that, right? Is like, and that's free as well, right? You don't have to pay anything for that. It just takes a little bit of your time to just talk to people and build relationships, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, now I sort of want to jump to going on to TikTok and LinkedIn. Like you're actually crushing on those platforms right now. And how did that sort of happen? And how did you start growing on TikTok and start growing on LinkedIn?
So my intentions were never to have a following because I was on LinkedIn first. And I only got on there because I could not grow my business. I think in August of 2020, I kind of plateaued. Like my sales weren't growing and my team wasn't growing, and I kind of felt really discouraged at that point because I didn't know how to take my business to the next level, like operationally, financially, all the different pieces. But got on LinkedIn, was scrolling on my homepage, and got really discouraged because it was kind of that toxic positivity that we see on social media. And it was just like other entrepreneurs who were fundraising and like launching into different stores and building out teams and doing all these great things. And everything was kind of going wrong for me at the time. So I don't know. And then I started having conversations with different entrepreneurs, and we all shared the same struggles in different ways. They look different. We were at all different stages. Like I talked to some people who were way ahead of me, talked to people that were like below me or alongside me at the same stage that I'm at. And I got confused because I was like, why is no one talking about this? Like, why is no one sharing these struggles on social media? So I started doing it. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna talk about all of the things, like not just the good shiny things. And it really resonated with a lot of people, and it kind of just snowballed from there. And I started getting a following, and which was pretty cool. And then yeah, now I'm at like 30K or whatever. I think I hit 30K yesterday, which is like wild because I started with 12. I started with 12 connections like a year and a half ago or whatever. And then with TikTok, I really did not want to get on that platform at all. I kind of had an ego, and especially through the pandemic, like you're seeing these dancing videos and it's like, oh gosh, like this is for kids. And actually, like my best friend, she started a business and she only used TikTok for marketing. So she hired a girl to make TikToks for her and for her company TikTok page. And I think their first month, like they just kept selling out of inventory, and then they were doing like 400,000 in sales, and then it was just growing and growing and growing. And I like was watching all this happen in real time, and she got like 80,000, 90,000, 100,000. It just kept growing and growing, and I swallowed my pride, and I was like, I'm just gonna get on there. I'm gonna get on there. You inspired me to start my TikTok account, so I did. And in March, I had my first viral video. I remember, I think I was at the kitchen and I came home at like 11 at night, and I remember put together like a compilation of just videos of the dough mixing. And I had like a voiceover or whatever on it. And then I uploaded it. It took all of like a minute to make. And I woke up the next day and my Shopify like cha-ching kept going off like over and over and over. And I was like, hey, is something wrong? Is something broken? And then I was getting all these emails from people all over the world because I can only sell in Canada right now. And I had like Americans being like, why can't I buy? And I had like 1,000, then 5,000, then 10,000 followers on TikTok, and then 20,000. And then my video had like a couple 100,000 views. And at that moment, I was freaking out because I didn't track my inventory to a T at the time, because like half was at the kitchen, half was in my living room, and I didn't have enough inventory. And I messaged my friend and I was like, can we go to the kitchen tonight? Like I need to bake product. So I think we went till like midnight or whatever, and we made as much product as we could. And then I had 150 orders to pick and pack like the following day. And it was complete madness. But at that moment, I was like, wow, this is insane. I didn't pay a single cent for this. I put out a video, it got on the right people's For You pages or whatever, it got to the right people. And then, they went and ordered. And then a lot of them too subscribed to my newsletter. So then I collected their emails as well. So I think from that moment on, I was like, hey, I need to really leverage this platform and really take advantage of it. So I started taking courses and learning about it, and like talking to other creators, and doing again like a lot of trial and error on the app. And then I've managed to grow it into what it is today. But yeah, it's a crazy app with crazy opportunity.
Yeah, no, like TikTok is absolutely insane. Like, and I've seen tons of businesses that have sort of done the exact same thing as you, right? Like, they start a company and it was like 2019, 2020, and it was like sort of like, just getting started, like they're having trouble, and then they start posting on TikTok and their TikTok blows up, right? And they start getting like ridiculous orders, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually interested to hear. I don't know if you can mention anything about this, but I'm interested. Like, what have you sort of seen with the conversion from TikTok to other platforms, and then also to sales to your company? I know you mentioned you had that viral video, that blew up your sales, right? But I think this is something that people would be interested in, right? Like with the conversion and stuff.
So I didn't have my TikTok because at the time I don't think Shopify could be integrated with TikTok. So I didn't know what exactly the conversion was. But like say I had a video that went viral, like I would know who came from TikTok. And a lot of people would write in the notes actually as well, like found you on TikTok, can't wait to try your product. But yeah, with that first video, I had like 150 orders. And then my sales doubled that month. So from March to April, my sales doubled just from TikTok. And then they continue to grow. But then I've had like other opportunities as well. Like I've had retailers reach out to me and want to carry my product. Other brands reach out to me and want to collaborate. Also too, like you can have a different call to action. Like I did a giveaway, and in order to enter my giveaway, people had to sign up to my newsletter, and I collected like a couple hundred emails that way. So I think like in terms of a ROI, like it's definitely been worth it for me. And I only invest a few hours a week on the platform, and many people don't believe me, but it really doesn't take that long to make content if you batch create. Like I set aside like an hour or two a week, and I just make as many as I can, and then you just upload them throughout the week. But yeah, the roadblock that I faced is I have a frozen product and I can't ship into the States. So if I was able to ship into the States, it definitely would have a greater ROI because most of my followers are American. So if you are listening to this and you are American or you can sell into the States and you don't have a frozen product, it's going to be well worth your while for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely crazy. But I mean, like even still, when I saw from your LinkedIn post that you're, I believe you're recently this year. Are you planning to move into the States, or you guys in the process with that?
Yeah, there's a never-ending learning curve. I didn't realize how complex it was. And even with like the packaging and the allergens, like in the States, they classify coconut as a tree nut. So you have to put that on the allergens
Hmm.
warnings on the packaging. So you need new packaging. But yeah, I guess the game plan for me, like mid 2022, is to launch into the States for my ecom. So people will be able to order online. I'll just have to find a 3PL fulfillment center across the border and then ship pallets that way. And then it'll just ship within the USA rather than me shipping individual packages across the border.
Yeah. But I really think when that sort of start like happens, I think you're gonna like with your site, there's gonna be a huge explosion with like, with the amount of people that are gonna be like, finally that we can like have the brodo in the US now. But yeah, I know we're coming to the end here. I just want to make sure, are you still good for time right now? I've got like four to five other questions.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. All right, awesome. Yeah. So now I sort of want to do, something that I did see that you post, and you post a lot about yourself. Like not just the business, not just the success, but also the downsides and all that type of stuff. And the losses and the wins and all that. How did you actually sort of push yourself out of your comfort zone? As like I believe in one of your posts that you said you were an introvert to your core, right? And you've pushed yourself out of that. And I think a lot of introverts that might be listening to this would be like, yeah, this like, this sounds great. Like, that you're getting on TikTok and it's blowing up, but I could never, make a video of myself. It's just, I'm too shy, or it just seems weird. Right. So how did you sort of push yourself out of that comfort zone?
Practice. It took a really long time. And again, like even in high school, I hated like I even with like presentations, I would do it one-on-one with the teacher. I couldn't do it in front of people. I hated being the center of attention or like having people like look at me and watch me. And because yeah, naturally I'm not that kind of person. But I think I got to a point where I wasn't growing. Like my personal development had stopped. And I was trying to figure out how I could continue to grow my business and myself as a person. And also too, just like helping other people. Like I really love giving back when I'm able to. And again, like the pros and cons, like it's uncomfortable putting yourself out there, but what you're doing and like for the community and stuff is so impactful. Like even like sharing about my losses and like what I'm going through. And when I first did that and I put out that first post, the feedback that I got was enough for me to continue doing it. Like I had people message me at all different stages of businesses or like wanting to pursue entrepreneurship, and they're like, thank you so much for like your transparency, because I felt like I needed all these things. I felt like I wasn't good enough. And so that was kind of incentive for me to keep putting myself out there. But I remember when I like first started and I had my Instagram account, on my Instagram story, I would talk to my audience like it was like thousands of people, but it was literally like 100 or something. Like I had no followers, and I would go on my story and I'm like, hey guys, like just so you know, we're restocking, and we have a new flavor launching. And I think it's like kind of pretend to be bigger than you are. And then eventually, like, you'll get there and you'll build and you'll have the audience. But it can be challenging at the beginning, and it can also be kind of embarrassing if you're putting yourself out there and it's not gaining any traction. And even on TikTok, like I think it took a while for me to really get any views, and I would put so much time and effort into these videos and they would get like 100 or 200 views and like 3 likes. And someone commented on my one video and they're like, damn, 3 likes, that's rough. And I was like, oh, that's really awful. um, So, you just have to get over it. And then you have that one video and then it just kind of snowballs from there. But yeah,
Yeah.
like I think that's why a lot of people struggle is because they don't keep going. It's with everything in business. Like you have to keep going. And don't be afraid to look stupid because you're gonna look stupid many, many times. But yeah, it's not gonna, it's like that 5-year thing. Like if you do something, you're embarrassed about it or you're worried about something, like, is it gonna affect me in 5 years? No. Okay, move on from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just, yeah, it's you're gonna start putting yourself out there and you're gonna see the payoff, and then it's gonna give you a reason to keep doing it. 'Cause you're like, wow, I'm growing, I'm learning about myself, and then I'm helping other people, and my business is growing and thriving. And I think you just have to keep putting yourself in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah. 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 One thing that I wanted to mention was, yeah, with TikTok, people can be pretty brutal
Yeah.
on there with stuff. But I mean, how I've sort of internalized it is like, hey, I would actually rather have somebody comment and be like, oh, this sucks or this is not good, than nobody commenting. Because one, you actually get feedback that you can use and be like, okay, well, okay, maybe this did suck and maybe I need to change something. And two, just by them having commented on it and viewed it, that can actually boost your video more, right? So just because
Yeah.
they've commented, right? So I mean, like, even if you're getting hate, like, that's the one thing I see is like, oh, the haters that will comment and be like, this sucks and blah 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 blah. Like that actually gets your video to blow up more, right? So I mean, and then you can use all that feedback, right, to actually help you for the next video, right? And because you're posting the next video and you got all this virality on your first video, it's like, you made the changes and now your second video is good. So now when people see it again, they're like, oh, actually, never mind. This is actually, good content, right? So that's how I sort of internalize it and look at it. Cause yeah, sometimes people can be, with the social media apps, people can be pretty mean, but I mean, like, hey, I look at it also like if somebody's being mean, most likely in their life, maybe they're going through something that's much worse. And that's how they're externalizing it or whatever, is by attacking you because they see you and you're like doing well. And, you have your business and all this other type of stuff. But yeah, that's how I sort of look at it. Now to sort of jump on quickly, I've got two more questions. So what would be your pretty much advice to day one Erica?
Make sure you have a support system in place because I didn't have that. Like I tell that to everyone, like whether it be people who are at the same stage as you, and like I think it's good to have a mix of people. Like try to find a mentor. I wish that I had that earlier on because it's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of money. And if I had a mentor right from the get-go, I would be a lot further than I am now. So that's what I tell people.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. And then what is one question that you wish people would ask you more about your life?
I don't know, maybe my hobbies. I mean, I don't really have any right now, really, but yeah, that's a good one. Hobbies are good.
So what type of hobbies are you sort of are you in right now or looking to get into?
Well, it's been hard with COVID and stuff. Like I got into CrossFit and then I got into horseback riding and then I actually used to have miniature horses growing up. So that was like kind of my passion. And I think eventually one day I'll get back into horses. But yeah, it's a lot of time and a lot of money. And when I'm retired one day, maybe.
Yeah. All right. I absolutely love that. But yeah, so we're coming to the end here. It's been absolutely amazing having you on the show, Erica. Where can people find out more about Brodo and where can they, go to buy it and, check it out? Are there any locations in Ottawa or Toronto they can check it out? Or, they go to your e-commerce site and buy from there?
So yeah, I'm actually launching my e-commerce site hopefully today. So by the time this is out, it should be available. So brodo.ca is the website. We're going to be launching into retail stores across Ontario and later this year, Canada. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Eric Rankin, or TikTok or Instagram, Brodo Canada.
Awesome. I love it. And, thank you to the people that have made it all the way to the end. I really, really appreciate that. And I thank you support for watching all the way to the end. I highly recommend that you guys go check out our product. I've tried it. It's absolutely amazing. And it's really high in protein as well. So, which is great, because, when you're eating a sweet or something, you you sort of maybe feel bad about yourself, but when you're eating her product, you can actually feel good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's been great having you on the show.
Thanks, Max.